Hello everyone, TinaGale back, and this is going to be the first layout that I've created with my new Paper Camellia club kit. And I apologize for the video now. My flip was messing up, and so I decided to try my iPhone since I've heard several people use the iPhone and it's very choppy. So hopefully I've done as much as I can. Hopefully it will fix a little bit. But I start out with my background paper, and you'll see me flipping back and forth because I had this pink polka dot picked out. And then when I cut it, I realized it was Chamelle's paper that had the pink cameras on the back, and I was just really torn. I did not want to use that full sheet of paper as a background paper. So I was trying to figure out a way to save the cameras, and you'll see in the end that I ended up cutting off 2 strips of the camera row so that I could use it on another layout, and then did just the strips on the top. And I'm following the sketch from Creative Scrappers. It's sketch 281, and that's a sketch that they're hosting the month of November. If you do it, you can be entered to win one of Paper Camellia's November kits, so all of the materials that I'm using here today. Now you'll see I have this photo, and it's one that's like the old Polaroids that has the developing inside of it, and so you can't cut and trim those photos. And I wanted to use the gold, and I wanted to use this little frame, so I decided if I cut a hole in the gold, I could lay it over my photo as a frame and then put the floral frame on top. So in the end it worked. You can still see a little bit of the white frame through the stars, but since the background paper is white, you really don't notice it, so it didn't bother me. So it ended up perfect. I really like the gold and that frame. And then next I'm cutting strips to put across the top, and this is the Maggie Holmes book paper, and so I cut one of the titles from it that says Warmest Memories. This photo is a very special photo from a few years ago when I first started working for Weight Watchers, and the woman that on the left was my leader when I was losing my weight, and she is just such a sweetheart. So it's an honor to work alongside her. And the other woman on the left of me, on the right of the photograph, is another member that was losing weight at the same time I was, and she went through leader training. So this was one of our first employee events that I went to, where we had this photo taken. Okay, and so now I'm just putting the paper down. I trimmed the polka dot Chamelle paper where there's just a little bit of border around the bottom of it. This is where you see me cutting those 2 strips of camera so that I have a little bit of that paper left. And then I'm going to adhere the strips across the top, and the pink stripe, I centered it kind of the same as the pink polka dot, and then the floral strip, I bumped it over to the right, and the same thing with the title strip. I bumped it over, and then I'll trim those off. The little brown strip, the short strip, is just a little scrap that I had laying on my table from another layout, and it has hearts with "Love This," and it's kind of got that gold craft colored background, and so I just thought it went really well with it, and I liked the wording for what I was doing on the layout. So you'll see me fidget quite a bit with the top strips. For some reason my paper was like cockeyed or something. The strips weren't looking straight, so I keep taking them off and keep putting them back on, trying to kind of cheat and make them look like everything's straight and parallel. Just piddling, but it takes me forever. And I'm going to go ahead and explain some of what I did on the layout, because the camera did cut out on the very end when I did all the finishing embellishments. But if you'll see at the top of the screen, you can see all of the word stickers. And I take my packaging, the clear packaging that embellishments like enamel dots and things are on, and I put, if I'm using thickers for my title or my stickers or whatever, I put them on that so that I can move it around the layout and kind of design and play with before I commit. So I pretty much had already decided where everything was going to go, basically, before I got to the end. So most of these word stickers are from the Teresa Collins 9 and Company. One of the little tabs is from my stash, which is Fancy Pants Park Bench. And at the end that I think cuts out the date stamp is the Amy Tangerine date stamp. And then I also use Simple Stories DIY stamp for a couple of phrases. And then the sequins were also from my stash, and they are from American Crafts DIY shop. So I think most of that is what got cut out. Okay, so now I'm going to start with what I'm using for the title and the other embellishments. And one thing that you just saw was on that gold mat and stuff. I trimmed that down some because I wanted that warmest memories on the book spine to show, and so I'd kind of moved it over so that it would be a subtitle kind of up there. So I needed to trim that mat down, and it worked okay because then I pull one of the gold pieces that I cut away to the bottom to help carry that through, and then I have a couple of other pieces to use on another layout because I really love that gold vellum. So I'm using the gold kind of doily shaped from the ephemera pack, and one of the tags that's got the pink ruffly crepe paper type thing with the word happy on it in gold. And then the other piece that says together, that was actually on my desk too from another paper, but I loved the font. It had that teal blue, mint green, well, more mint green, that matched the layout really well. So I'm using that as my title. Okay, so I'm just kind of finishing up now using some of the sequins scattered around, and then I'll use the date stamp. I'll add some still photos at the very end of the finished layout since it cut out the very end. I did stamp some hearts around from that Simple Story stamp, and I kind of went a little overboard. I kind of wished I hadn't have done quite as much. I also took some gold glimmer mist and splattered a little bit across it. And I think that about wraps it up. I'll have a full list of supplies at the bottom of the video if you're watching on YouTube. It will also be on my blog, and I'll have links to any of the products if you're interested in checking them out. Be sure to check out Paper Camellia's kits if you're interested in a scrap kit, and Creative Scrapper's Sketch Challenge if you're interested in sketches. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to check out my blog at tiggerscrapplace.blogspot.com. Catch me on YouTube at Tigger's Teaching,